In a world where global trade alliances are constantly evolving, recent U.S. policies under the Trump administration are contributing to a notable realignment. Historically loyal to Washington, several American allies in Asia are beginning to explore closer ties with Beijing. At the heart of this development lies a potent economic tool: tariffs. While tariffs have long been used as a lever in trade negotiations, their recent application by the United States, particularly toward friendly nations, has introduced new uncertainties. Countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, and Malaysia, once considered steadfast partners of the United States in regional economic strategies, now find themselves on the receiving end of aggressive U.S. trade measures. This shift is prompting a reconsideration of economic allegiances, creating an opening for China to assert itself as a more stable and dependable trade partner. In recent months, the Trump administration has ramped up tariffs on a broad range of imports. These measures, ostensibly designed to reduce the U.S. trade deficit and revive domestic manufacturing, have not spared allies. Vietnam, for example, has been hit with tariffs as high as 46% on specific goods, while Cambodia faces 49% tariffs on some of its exports. These nations, whose economies are heavily reliant on exports to the U.S., have been significantly affected. Critics of the administration's approach argue that such measures, while aimed at pressuring adversaries like China, have inadvertently alienated longtime allies. For countries already wary of geopolitical tension in the region, the tariffs send a troubling message: even close U.S. partners are not exempt from economic penalties. Sensing an opportunity, China has responded with a calculated and strategic push for regional influence. President Xi Jinping recently embarked on a diplomatic tour across Southeast Asia, including visits to Vietnam, Malaysia, and Cambodia, nations deeply affected by U.S. tariffs. The message from Beijing was clear: China stands ready to offer trade cooperation without the unpredictability that currently defines U.S. policy. During his tour, Xi pledged deeper economic collaboration, infrastructure investments under the Belt and Road Initiative, and tariff-free trade arrangements. These overtures are part of a broader effort to recast China not just as the region's economic engine, but as a trustworthy partner in a time of global volatility. China's pitch resonates particularly well in Southeast Asia, where leaders are balancing economic pragmatism with strategic security concerns. Beijing's promise of stability, in contrast to Washington's trade aggression, is becoming increasingly appealing. The implications of this shift are significant. Southeast Asia has long been a cornerstone of U.S. economic and strategic policy in the Indo-Pacific. But as Washington enforces harsh trade penalties, and Beijing extends a hand of cooperation, a new dynamic is emerging. One in which old alliances may give way to new economic realities. Already, analysts are observing a change in tone among regional leaders. Cambodia's prime minister has expressed openness to expanding trade relations with China, while Vietnamese officials have publicly acknowledged the need to diversify trade partners in light of U.S. unpredictability. Malaysia, too, has intensified talks with Beijing regarding infrastructure development and cross-border commerce. This rebalancing does not suggest an immediate abandonment of the United States. Rather, it reflects a strategic recalibration, with countries seeking to hedge their bets and reduce dependence on a single global power. Nonetheless, the trend points to a diminished U.S. influence in regional trade architecture unless policies shift. These developments underscore a larger truth about the current geopolitical environment. Trade policy is no longer simply about economics, it is an instrument of power, influence, and diplomacy. The United States and China are competing not only over market access and supply chains but also over leadership in setting the rules and norms of international trade. For U.S. policymakers, this moment demands reflection. If tariffs designed to confront China end up pushing allies closer to Beijing, then the strategy may be self-defeating. The pursuit of economic security must be balanced against the need to maintain robust alliances and multilateral partnerships. The current situation reveals how deeply interconnected trade and geopolitics have become. As the U.S. doubles down on tariff-driven policy, it risks alienating some of its most crucial partners. Meanwhile, China is capitalizing on the vacuum with promises of stability and cooperation. The trajectory of global trade alliances is not fixed. It will be shaped by how major powers choose to engage with their partners. For now, the message from many Southeast Asian nations is clear: reliability and respect are paramount. As long as Washington's policies are perceived as unilateral and punitive, it should expect that some friends may begin looking elsewhere for economic support and that elsewhere increasingly points toward Beijing.